I sat on the couch, alone in my house. My parents were out of town for the weekend, and my older brother was staying at a friend's house. I was used to being alone in the house, but as the sun began to set, I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. I tried to keep myself occupied by watching TV, but every creak and groan of the old house made my heart race. I could feel the sense of dread building inside me, and as if someone was watching me from the shadows. I tried to brush it off as my imagination, but then I heard it. A faint tapping at the window. I froze in fear, my eyes glued to the window. I couldn't see anything through the darkness outside, but the tapping continued. I slowly made my way to the window, my heart pounding my chest. As I got closer, the tapping seemed to get louder and more urgent. I reached out with a trembling hand and slowly pulled back the curtain. My breath caught in my throat as I saw a shadowy figure standing just a few feet away, its long, twisted fingers tapping on the glass. I screamed and stumbled backwards, frantically searching for my phone to call the police. But as I unlocked my phone, the figure disappeared, leaving behind only the sound of the tapping on the glass. I was shaking with fear, but I tried to convince myself that it was just my overreactive imagination. I turned on the volume of the TV and tried to focus on the show, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was being watched. Suddenly, the power went out, plunging the house into darkness. I let out a shriek of terror as I fumbled for my phone, my hand shaking so badly that I almost dropped it. I turned on the flashlight and quickly made my way to the circuit breaker to try and restore the power. I was about to flip the switch, and I heard a low whisper coming from behind me. "You can't hide from me," it said, sending me shivers down my spine. I looked around, but saw no one. The whisper seemed to be coming from all around me. My heart was pounding so loudly in my ears that I could barely hear the sound of my own labored breathing. I quickly turned on all the lights in the house, hoping to chase away the darkness and whatever sinister presence was lurking within. But the lights only seemed to intensify the feeling of being watched. I decided I needed to leave the house and go stay with the neighbor until my parents came back. But as I rushed towards the front door, it slammed shut on my face, trapping me inside. I frantically tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. That's when I heard the whisper again, this time much closer. "You can't leave. I won't let you," it said, its voice growing louder and more menacing. I tried to find the source of the voice, but saw no one. My mind was filled with terror and confusion. Was I going crazy? Was this all just a nightmare? But when I turned back to the door, I saw a handprint slowly forming on the glass from the outside. I watched in horror as the handprint seemed to press against the glass, as if trying to break in. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife, my hands shaking so badly that I could barely hold it. I was prepared to defend myself from whatever evil presence was in my house. But then, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. It was coming from my bedroom upstairs. Without thinking, I dropped the knife and ran towards the stairs, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached the top of the stairs, I was hit with a wave of the cold air that seemed to sap all the warmth from my body. I could see my breath forming in front of me as I cautiously made my way towards the bedroom. Pushing open the door, I saw that my room was in shambles. The drawers were open, clothes had been thrown all over the room, and my bed sheets were ripped to shreds. But what caught my eye the most was the figure standing in the corner of the room, facing away from me. It was tall and thin, with long, spindly arms and legs. It was dressed in tattered clothes, and its body seemed to sway as if it were a smoke. My mouth turned dry as I realized that I was face to face with the figure that had been haunting me all evening. Slowly, It turned to face me, revealing a grinning, grotesque face covered in scars and decaying skin. Its pierced red eyes seemed to bore into my soul as it slowly began to approach me, its body contorting in unnatural ways. I was paralyzed with fear, unable to move or even scream. Just as I thought I was about to meet my end, my parents burst through the front door, having to come home early. The figure disappeared in a puff of smoke, and I collapsed to the ground, relieved but traumatized by the experience. Throughout the years, I've never been able to explain what happened that night. Some say it was just a vivid nightmare, but I know the truth. There was something malevolent in my house that night, something that wanted to take me away with it. I never stayed alone in the house again, and I always made sure to keep the lights on and the doors locked, just in case. I may never know what the figure was or why it targeted me, but one thing for sure, I will never forget that terrifying and unforgettable night when I was home alone.